So Mercury retrograde officially starts tonight at 10:10. So when we are finished with our energy update, our guided meditation, Mercury will officially be retrograde. And there are probably varying opinions of Mercury retrograde, what that means to you, how that seems to affect you, and not. Some people get just really freaked out, like just think it's incredibly ominous. My funny Mercury retrograde story for today is that I ordered pizza for dinner and thought it's probably about time for it to be delivered. Let me check my tracking. And then I realized that I had ordered it to be delivered to the shop instead of my house. So luckily my shop is super close to my house. So I had to get in the car and meet the pizza person at the shop. So I blame Mercury retrograde for that. But, Mercury affects technology, communication. And when Mercury is retrograde, it's only really retrograde from our vantage point here on Earth. It's not actually literally going backwards, but it appears to be doing so. And Mercury retrograde happens honestly a couple times a year. And we're in the final Mercury retrograde of this year. And Mercury retrograde, since we're in Libra season now, it is in Libra as well. So we'll talk about that too. But Mercury retrograde can affect communication. It can affect slow communication, your issues with the mail, phone calls. It can also have an effect, potentially, on contracts and agreements. So it's kind of advised that you don't sign a lease or, sign a business agreement or something like that during Mercury retrograde, because the communication can be confusing, or it can be, since we're experiencing the retrograde, kind of reverse energy, that once it goes direct again, it could kind of flip flop that energy. So that's why it's recommended that you don't agree to things during your Mercury retrograde. But I actually, I think it was about a year ago during a Mercury retrograde, and it had been almost a year and a half ago. Time is weird, now, right? I think everybody can say time is just weird. Don't even know what year it is, right? But Mercury retrograde can also bring things from the past and bring it into your present awareness so that you can revisit it, so that you can review it. It is a time of review. And I had a couple of Mercury retrograde things come up communication wise, one of which was an unresolved issue from a super, super long time ago involving money. And it was actually my first ex-husband that there was a lot of child support that had never been paid. And I have two adult kids that are 25 and 21. So it's a long time ago. And there was actually information that came through court stuff, weird stuff, that it was hey, you're going to get some money from this back child support from a really long time ago. And it was right when Mercury went retrograde. So instead of it being an inconvenience or something that was confusing, it was something coming from the past that was now showing back up into my present time and giving me an opportunity not only to review it and to look at it and see how I kind of felt about it now, where I am in my life now, but also to really bring some resolution and some closure, which is really, really awesome. And so that process started, like I said, about a year and a half ago. And we had a couple of Mercury retrogrades, and then it finally kind of got finalized and things in motion when Mercury went retrograde last time, a couple months ago. So that's really kind of a cool experience. So Mercury retrograde in Libra, which is what we're experiencing now, can affect relationships, can affect our ideas of love, our ideas of how we love ourselves and how we like to receive love, how we like to give love, because Libra is ruled by Venus. And Venus is, right, embodies that love, energy, partnership, also beauty and balance, things like that. So what we're being asked to look at and what you may see showing up in your lives kind of during this retrograde period, which, by the way, it goes direct tonight at 10:10, but we've been in the shadow period for a couple weeks. You know, there's like this, it's coming and then it starts and then it's retrograde. And then once it goes direct again, we have that exiting shadow period too. So we have, I guess that's my hair. I was like, what is that shadow behind me? So we have, you know, kind of like blooms into Mercury retrograde. So you may, if you kind of already been experiencing some of these things that we're talking about, it might have already kind of happening because of that shadow period. Okay. But anyway, so with Mercury retrograde and Libra, we have that opportunity to kind of look at our relationships, first and foremost, our relationship with ourselves. Because that's where everything comes from, right? So when we look at the relationship with ourselves, how we see ourselves, kind of do like an inventory, you know, see how we've grown, see where we are, what our expectations are, what we want, what we don't want. And then looking at our relationships, and it may primarily be more focused on like romantic relationships, but it can also be any kind of partnership. It could be a business partnership. It could just be, you know, other relationships that there is that duality and that, you know, kind of coupling type energy that isn't necessarily romantic or sexual. So it's a really good time to review those things. And if stuff comes up, which stuff comes up, right? But if stuff comes up, instead of being like reactive or like, oh no, Mercury retrograde is making all this bad or whatever, it's like, okay, well, what is kind of risen to the surface? What is showing up so that we have an opportunity for that review, you know, for looking at it and saying, where am I at now? What, is this okay? Is this good? And sometimes stuff comes like from the past, like relationships from like way long ago. Maybe somebody starts, you know, coming to mind, or you get communication from someone from way back. And it's not like, okay, here they are, you know, like, let's start this again. It doesn't have to be that. Like I said, starting new relationships, contract steps, not a good idea during Mercury retrograde anyway. But a lot of times it is a chance for review. And like for me, like with the child support thing that I mentioned, man, I mean, my ex-husband and I, you know, we had several conversations, like when I got this letter and I'm like, hey, like, what's going on? I mean, we still have a way to get in touch with each other. You know, we're amicable. But we had not had like super long conversations. We, you know, a lot. But we really had a couple of opportunities to have some really long conversations and really kind of like hash through stuff as the people that we are now, instead of as we left it when we divorced, or kind of who we were when we were married. We were married for 8 years. We were young. So it was very cathartic and very healing and lots of resolution. And I was just amazed, almost kind of as this outsider observer, kind of looking at myself saying, man, I remember how, you know, he and I were interacting or we were talking about these things, how I used to feel, how I used to react, but I have such a different perspective now, and was able to take ownership of, you know, certain things or apologize for things. And he apologized and it was like really, really good. So those things from the past that show up in our present moment, whether Mercury's in retrograde or not, are really awesome for us to just kind of go, but who am I now? Where am I at now? And a lot of times we realize that we've grown, and to have that kind of comparison and that other person, where as almost like a mirror, like how we used to see ourselves and interact versus how we see ourselves now and how we're interacting. It's like a great, measuring stick for the progress that we make, like every moment and every day, you know? So anyway, I hope that is positive and helpful if things like that come up, you know, for you during this time period. And also, there are several other planets that are retrograde. And like I said, I don't want this to be a real heavy astrology energy update, although I feel that we're affected by all of those things. But I also really kind of want to really tune in and channel the collective, kind of like where we are at as a planet, as beings that are all connected. And I know that, like, to me, kind of like I said, like, what year is it? What day is it? You know, like that sense of kind of like listless timelessness is kind of like just been going on and on. And maybe some of you have also experienced that or are experiencing that. And to me, that is kind of it has like two sides to it. Like in a way, it can be kind of confusing. Like, you know, it's Tuesday, but you think it's Friday, or, you know, you think you keep writing 2019 and it's really 2021 or whatever it is. But also, and of course, if you know what day it is, you might like forget something. Like I've been really diligent about putting stuff on my calendar, like in my phone, so that I don't forget stuff, because I'll forget it if I don't write it down. But there's also an opportunity to kind of like feel a little more liberated and not so rigidly tied into schedule. You know, maybe you have a little more time that is unscheduled than you used to have, or maybe you're prioritizing time for you, or, you know, slower activities, whether it's just like resting or meditation, or, you know, binge watching Netflix, or like, you know, going on a walk, or whatever it is. And maybe, you know, your life there are slower times than just like go, go, go. So maybe that is the benefit of that somewhat nebulous, you know, sense of time that we might all be experiencing collectively. Now, one thing that has been coming up on my radar a lot, and there are other intuitives and like spiritual coaches and stuff like that. I mean, there are other people that I listen to and then I follow. And it's just amazing that, you know, these people are like all over the world and from kind of different, you know, experiences or belief systems or things, but there are some very common themes and even common language that comes through in these different like energy updates, or you know, insights into kind of like what's going on and kind of what's coming. And to me, when we hear similar language or like exact phrasing of certain things, that's always really cool to me, because you know, I hear myself, like if I'm doing intuitive work, if I'm counseling someone, or you know, doing a channel session or something, I'm like the observer. I'm like hearing myself say this, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird phrasing, or I wouldn't say it that way, or never thought of it that way. And it feels it's not coming from me, you know, it's coming from this bigger source. And but I've heard, you know, certain phrasing that is just cookie cutter, you know, inside of all of these, but we've not talked, right? You know, they haven't heard me say something in a reading, you know, private reading for someone or whatever. So it's kind of cool to get that confirmation, I think, as far as that collective web. And the thing is, as far as like the collective, you know, and what I mean is just like all of our energy and our souls, if you know, if you want to look at it that way, that we're all kind of connected in this web, not the World Wide Web, that's a whole other web, right? But we're all connected, and we're all empathetic. We're all feeling stuff, you know, we're all intuiting things, and sometimes the thoughts and the energy is going out and then it's coming back in. So there's a lot of give and take and ebb and flow with this kind of collective. Now, when you think of how many billions, like it's like 7 billion people are on the planet, and let's just talk about people for a second. Like, let's not even talk about, you know, animals or trees or mushrooms or, you know, anything else. When we just talk about humans and how many humans there are on the planet, not everybody is like me. Not everybody is like you. Not everybody, you know, has the same upbringing, background, belief system. We all have different lenses that we, you know, see things through. We all have different filters and conditioning and experiences and all these things, right? So it can be super overwhelming at times when you are feeling all this stuff in the collective, and it can be very conflicting with your beliefs or conflicting with how you kind of try to look at something, you know, your perspective. It can be really overwhelming. It can be scary. It can be frustrating. And so many people, like when I interact with people at the shop, for example, you know, I talk to a lot of people, and I hear so many people say, well, I'm an empath, you know, and, you know, I just pick up everybody's stuff, and then, you know, it affects my mood, or, you know, then I start feeling in my body. So I believe that all of us are empaths. And some people are like really, really, really open, very, very like strong empaths. And some are like moderately empathic. But I believe that being empathetic and being an empath and empathing other people's emotions and feelings or the energy of a room or whatever it is one of our senses, just like our sight, just like our hearing and all of that. And I think that it's just something that we inherently all have, like I said, as one of our senses, a way of us to read the environment and kind of you get a feeling of like, what's going on, right? And it's not, I'm not saying that it's not like, it could be a really cool thing, to experience or something that really helps you. Of course, a lot of people say that it's like a burden, but I'm saying it's not really like special. It's not like unique. We all have it. Like I said, in varying degrees. Some people are like awesome at math. Some people are like really good at long distance running. Some people are really good at picking up other people's like the vibe they're putting out, right? So we're all empaths in varying degrees. So when we're all feeling and kind of plugged into like collective consciousness and that web, we're all feeling other people's stuff and the others, what they're feeling, but based on what other people are feeling is kind of compounded and exponential. So there's a lot going on. So that's when we talk about, maintaining your energy field, whether it's through smudging, through meditation, through deep breathing, through all kinds of boundaries that can be like literal, figurative, metaphysical, or just kind of mundane, however it is. All of those things are really important for you to discern and to be able to understand what you're feeling. Is it yours, or is it part of this collective energy, or maybe, certain people around you in your environment? So if you're feeling overwhelmed with the general collective, with what you're picking up, what's going down and what you're picking up on, any of those kind of modalities or things that help you really first identify where your energy starts and stops, and to take responsibility for that, because not only are you picking up other people's stuff, but you're also putting stuff out too, right? So taking your responsibility for what you're putting out is really good and really healthy, just to kind of have that in your, perspective and in your awareness. Okay. And then if you're feeling something, instead of immediately feeling it and then just absorbing and holding on to it and just owning it, it might not even be yours. Most of the time, it's probably not yours. So you can use a pendulum or some kind of dowsing to determine if what you're feeling is yours. You can also use your body as a pendulum. If you're standing up or sitting down, if you simply ask, is this anxiety that I'm feeling, is this mine? Typically your body, if it is a yes, your body will lean into it as a confirmation. And if it's not, kind of move back. And that pendulum will do that, opposite motions for yes and no as well. Using your body is like super easy. So start maybe considering that, if you're feeling bad feelings, things that are feeling you like, like you're not grounded, you're kind of off center, start asking if it's even yours. And when you determine that it isn't yours, then it's much easier to go, okay, well, it's not mine. So is there something in like my immediate environment that I need to address? That I need to maybe check on somebody else? Or do I need to, kind of establish some boundaries? Or if it's just kind of rando, whatever, then you can be like, okay, well, it's not mine. It's awesome that I picked up on something that was going on that was a little off. So now I'm just going to release it. You can ground it out. You can breathe it out, just disconnect from it. And then you're kind of back, to that homeostasis. So maybe that technique or those techniques will be helpful for you when you are feeling, those empathic feelings, because the point of empathy is not to feel it and then own it. The point of empathy is just to identify without your, not with your eyes, your hearing, or smaller, sense of smell, is to identify energetically what's going on. It's just a little temperature check on the vibes. So once you've identified it, unless it's something that's going on within yourself that you need to heal or work through, or like there's somebody like sending you darts, angry darts, so you kind of need to list diffuse the situation, you don't have to own it. You can just ground it out. You can breathe it out and just release it. And I think that that's why a lot of people who, when they identify, oh my gosh, I'm an empath, then they think, oh, there's this like, with great power comes great responsibility, and that they have to like carry this. And you don't have to carry it, even if it's for like a significant other or like your kids. Sometimes with kids or animals, you kind of like take care of them. So you might carry that burden and then kind of help process that, I think that that's kind of a nurturing type thing that we may feel inclined to do, but a lot of times it's not ours, so know that you have choice. Okay. So, talking a little bit more about collective stuff that's going on. Man, I have had so many, I don't want to say like one end of the spectrum to the other, but I'm kind of want to say that at the same time. I'm a Libra. This is my season. My birthday is kind of towards the end of October, but man, I'm always trying to find that balance, and see the duality too and everything. And I, with the pandemic and with like political stuff and environmental stuff and everything else going on, I've felt my radar kind of polarizing, like going on one end of the spectrum and going all the way on the other. Like, whereas you're like, well, the fact that everybody wasn't, leaving their house a whole lot or driving around a whole lot or whatever was actually kind of really good for the environment. And, there were like fish coming into like the, the channels, like in Venice, it was really beautiful. And, our carbon footprint kind of diminished for a while. That was really awesome. And I know for me and for a lot of people, it was kind of a chance to like slow stuff down a little bit, and just kind of like, okay, what's really important? What do I want to focus on? What do I want to have in my life? And then what do I need to kind of let fall to the wayside, and kind of go away? So there were, been lots of positives, I think, with things being different, right, over the last year and a half and more at this point. But then, of course, there's a lot of division, and not just political. I mean, it's beyond that, there's been a lot of division, a lot of polarized beliefs and views on things. And part of one thing that can be really scary and upsetting, but also can be very liberating, is people like understanding what their like bodily autonomy and like their rights, like what they want to choose, what they want to do for themselves. And the thing that I've always been a fan of, even though I've kind of always been on the fringe, like the black sheep, as far as like my spiritual beliefs, and I'm total like, I'm not like a rabble rouser, but I'm kind of like, I'm not an anarchist, but I kind of am a little bit like, it's like authority really. So I've kind of always been on the, on the fringe of just like not fitting in, I guess. But like I've always been a fan though of like, you believe what you want to believe, as long as if you're come over here in my little world and you start stepping all over my boundaries or telling me what to do, like I have the right to defend myself. I have the right to be like, not in my world, not my bubble. But somebody wants to do whatever they want to do or believe what they want to believe. That is their choice. That is free will. As far as we're on earth, we're humans, we have free will. And of course it gets kind of confusing and like nebulous when you're like, well, but they're a murderer. So is that their free will? But when you murder somebody, you're taking away someone else's free will. So that's kind of a way that you keep that in checks and balances. But anyway, but as far as like beliefs, political stance or, being pro-life or pro-choice or as a person, not as a like, I have this opinion, but then I'm going to make everybody else have this opinion too. Okay. That's when free will with an individual, I do have respect for that. So all of that is to say that there have been different situations and instances where people on both sides of the spectrum have been like, don't tell me what to do, or it is my right, I should not be told what to do, right? And it's kind of funny, like at the shop, funny because you have to be like, oh, it's just life. But funny at the shop, because I'm not going to get like moral and political here, you know, with you guys. I mean, I have my own personal beliefs about stuff. But at the shop, I have felt more comfortable for myself, for my 6-year-old, and for anybody else comes in the shop, because it's my shop. I've been like, let's all just wear a mask, you know, we'll do that. And I've had some people have been like really awesome about it and be like, oh yeah, this is what we want to do. Thank you so much. We feel safe. And some people have been like, F you, you know, you can't tell me what to do. And, you know, it's been like, and we've seen that like Walmart, we've seen it, you know, everywhere, right? These stories. But the cool thing is, like, for me, is that I'm like, I'm not going out, you know, across the street and saying, hey, you need to put your mask on. I'm saying in my bubble, in my shop, this is just what I'm comfortable with. Let's, you know, if you want to come in here, cool. This is what I want you to do while you're in here. Okay. If you don't want to wear a mask in my shop, go shop somewhere else. And I'm not being like snarky. I'm just like, cool. I mean, buy yourself somewhere else like that aligns with what you want to do, with your values or your beliefs or whatever. That's totally cool. I'm not judging you. So it's kind of been nice to be like, feel like, you know, really okay with boundaries, you know, I'm really okay with like, this is just how I feel in my world, you know, and let's just leave it at that. So boundaries has been a theme collectively. It's been a theme in my life. It's been a theme. We see it, you know, just a few of the examples that I just gave. That's really been heavy with like the pandemic, you know, energy. And the thing is about boundaries, like I said, is that ultimately, even though we have governments and we have societal norms and rules and expectations, and maybe within your family unit or your community or whatever, you know, you have certain guidelines or things that you would all agree on ish. But when it comes to boundaries and expectations of like, you know, this is something that this is the line in the sand, or these are my expectations, one way or the other. I kind of like to use boundaries and expectations together. But for me, at least, and I think for people who are kind of really trying to see the big picture, to me, it's not really about telling other people what's right or wrong. It's first and foremost you making sure that you are towing the line, that you are taking responsibility for how you feel about something, what is right for you or your family, you know, whoever you're responsible for. And then you have the expectation for the other person to also have their own boundaries and their own beliefs or whatever. And sometimes it's agree to disagree. And I mean, I've also been like a mild activist, you know, for certain things like women's rights and different things. So I'm not saying like, you know, you should never speak up or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But I feel like when we continue to turn the focus on ourselves with first and foremost, am I doing what I'm supposed to do? And are my actions and my words really aligning with who I am and why I'm here? And we keep turning that focus on ourselves, then the energy that we're putting out, we're at least like in a state of harmony and balance of like us. And then that's the energy that we're putting out. And then we start to align with other people, other groups of people, relationships, friendships, whatever it is, that also resonate in an energy field that is not only harmonious with yours, but also saying, I'm also owning my stuff and I'm taking responsibility for myself. So it's kind of like grown-ups interacting with each other, you know, instead of like spoiled brats. And of course, not everybody's that way. And I'm not saying everybody has to be that way, but you kind of, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? And so if you're feeling like you're getting a lot of resistance, if you're feeling like you're getting, you know, really upset, like, you know, reading certain articles or in a forum or Reddit or whatever it is, you know, and you're just like getting really mad or fearful or whatever it is, it may be beneficial to use those mirrors, which are like that thing or that person that is like sometimes triggering you or bringing something up, to go, wait a minute, you know, instead of me putting my focus here so far in the external, let me turn myself for a moment. Can I do a little inventory and see where I'm at, if I'm good, if I'm feeling balanced and okay about the choices I'm making, about, you know, my values, how I'm feeling about things or whatever. So with Mercury retrograde and looking at relationships in Libra, that's why I said at the very beginning is that our relationship with ourselves is really truly the most important, and it's understanding ourselves, and it's really like accepting ourselves. And if there's something about us that we really don't like from the root of that we don't like it, not that somebody else didn't like it and they didn't mean to us about it or pointed it out or whatever, but that we really don't like about ourselves, then maybe it's a chance to kind of bring that up and to heal it, you know, to process through it, or to kind of evolve that a little bit. So I hope that that makes sense. And, you know, we'll be doing energy updates every week with the meditation Mondays. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what we either build on or kind of what comes up. I mean, there's a lot going on. And I have so much been hesitant to focus on certain things that are kind of like doom and gloom and stuff, because I don't like, there's a matter of being prepared. There's a matter of just like keeping your wits about you and, you know, making smart choices that you feel like you're going to have your needs met and stuff. But I just don't want to feed into the fear type energy of things, if that makes sense. So I'm not an ostrich with my head in the sand, but I just think that when we also focus on personal responsibility and focus on keeping ourselves like clear and balanced, that really helps us have the exact perspective that we need to deal with any adversity or anything that's really good. And then we're like, yay, this is great. Let me really feel this and really embody it, you know? So focus on yourself is the general message. All right, so go ahead and get comfortable. And when you kind of get settled in, whether you're sitting up or laying down, whatever you want to do, you can close your eyes whenever that feels right for you, okay? And so let's start out by taking a couple of deep breaths together. I'll imagine that we're breathing together because I can't see anybody. So when you're breathing, use your whole chest, belly, okay, as you're breathing. These are like belly breaths, is how a baby breathes. It's actually the most oxygenating and like natural way to breathe, but as stressed out adult humans, we just breathe really shallow. We breathe like right here. So we want to take deep belly breaths. So when we're breathing in, and I like to breathe in through my nose, so you do what works for you. But we breathe in and we fill up our lungs, and then we keep breathing, and then we start to feel our belly kind of like fill up too, our whole abdomen. And then when we exhale, our belly goes down first, and then the lungs empty. And so if you can get in the rhythm of breathing in nice and full, and then a slow exhale. Let's just do that for a couple breaths, okay? So breathing in, breathe out. Breathe in and out. And when you breathe in, breathing in through your nose, feeling the air move down your throat, down into your lungs, down into your belly. And you exhale, letting the belly drop back down, the chest empty, the air flowing out of your mouth. On the exhale, you can let your shoulders drop, you know, by increments with each exhale. Some of us, with the stress of our day, we're walking around with our shoulders like up to our ears. So as you're breathing, you can kind of sit up, or if you're laying down, just kind of like really stretch out and kind of like elongate your neck. And breathe in again. Exhale, lowering the shoulders, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the chest. all the way out. And one more deep breath in and exhale. All right, so keep breathing rhythmically in and out. Okay, and you can just listen to the sound of my voice. And remember, with every exhale, if you find that you're holding tension in any part of your body, your jaw, you can just breathe that out and just relax a little bit more with every breath. And with just, let's see, just a few minutes of us breathing and me talking in between that, I'm sure that already you are starting to feel more relaxed. Your blood pressure has gone down a little bit. Your heart rate has slowed. You have relaxed your body. You've released some tension. And I love deep breathing and I love the benefits that we receive from that I just mentioned. But also, you're starting to become more balanced and slightly alert as well because you've oxygenated your body. So your brain is actually working better too. So as you breathe in and as you breathe out, just let that process of kind of unfolding, of relaxing, then also kind of like giving your body what it really needs through the breath. Allow that process just to happen. Okay. And so we're going to do a little scan of the body. Still just focus on your breath, where you're deliberately breathing in nice and slow, filling out the belly, and a long, slow exhale. Okay. So just kind of keep that going on the, on the back burner there. But we're going to do a scan of the body, and I would like to start at our heads, the very top of our heads. And so as you're still breathing in and out, nice and slow, just move your awareness to the top of your head. And as you start to move over the top of your head, over your hair, what we're going to be doing is we're not going to only be going along the outside of our body, but we're going to be kind of scanning inward as well. And we're not necessarily looking for anything. We're not necessarily, wanting to focus on one thing. But if you notice momentarily, maybe a little bit of, tension or pain or, thought, kind of comes to mind or whatever, you can just identify that. You can acknowledge it, but then use the exhale, use the out breath just to kind of let it drift off over to the side for the present being. So we're going to scan over the top of your head and then also through your head, through your skull and your brain. And we're just going to slowly move the awareness around the back of your head and then your face, relaxing your forehead and your nose and your cheeks and your jaw. Try to relax your ears and the top of your neck, the back of your head where the base of your spine meets there, base of your skull. And then move your awareness down through your jaw, your chin, your throat, the back of your neck. And if you find yourself kind of scanning very quickly, like you're way ahead of me, that's okay. Just use the breath to just try to slow everything down. And move the awareness down to the tops of the shoulders, inside your shoulders, your collarbone, your shoulder blades, the pectoral muscles. Feeling your chest kind of rise and fall with your breath. Sweep your awareness down each arm, your biceps, your elbows, your forearms, your hands. Make sure that your hands are nice and relaxed. They're not clenched. Relax your hands. And just have your palms maybe just slightly open. Sweep your awareness through your chest, the middle of your back, down your spine, through your lungs. And as you're breathing in and out, you feel your lungs filling and emptying with air. Go down each rib of the rib cage. Kind of glance through the different organs in the middle of your body, down your lower back. Now your solar plexus, your navel, your waist, your hips, lower belly, your lower back, down to the very end of your spine, your tailbone, very lowest part of your pelvis. And moving your awareness down your legs, down and through the front of your legs, the back of your legs, your hamstrings, all the way down to your knees, in front and behind, sweeping down your legs over your shin, your calves, all the way down to your ankles. Remembering to breathe nice and slow, nice and deep. Down through your feet, through every single tiny little bone, and tendon and muscle in your feet, each toe, sweeping underneath the arch, the ball, and the heel of your foot. Now take a deep breath in and a long, slow exhale. And with the next few breaths, imagine that not only are you breathing through your nose and exhaling through your mouth, but you're actually breathing in and exhaling with your entire body, almost like you're a sponge. You're a porous being, okay? And so imagine that you're pulling in the breath not only through your skin, but like through, through the bottoms of your feet and through your hands and through your nose, through the top of your head. So just take a deep breath in that way as your whole being breathes in. And then exhale. And you'll probably feel any tension or tightness that was kind of still being held there, that you're just really relaxing into it now. Another deep breath in. And exhale. And keep breathing in and out with your whole body. Now imagine that the perception that you have of your physical body, that tangible physical sense of self, imagine that you move your awareness and sense of observation more into your energy body. And so the physical body is still there, but your attention is now focused on the energy body. And so now take a deep breath with the energy body. And it just may be a whole breath in, no point of origin or entry. Just breathe in. See that energy body kind of expand out with the inhale. And exhale. Not feeling the energy body shrink, but feeling the energy body just kind of reach back down to kind of state of balance. Now let's move your awareness from your energy body to inside. And instead of necessarily peering, like inside your heart or inside your chakra systems, go within. Move your focus all the way into the center of your energy body and physical body, the place that you might determine would be the center. and start to stare inward or look inward. And this space may be very quiet. This space may be very still. Maybe it is darker, more muffled, more quiet. But just kind of move your awareness and your focus inward. And take a few breaths with that awareness inside. Now you may see, like just darkness, it's quiet. You may see kind of little swirls or waves of color. Whatever you see or experience in this inside space is perfect. But just keep the focus inside as you breathe. And maybe your physical body, your energy body, for the time being, they don't necessarily disappear, but you might feel less aware of those senses of self and of body. Just keep going in and resting in that internal space for a moment. And now, if this internal space is dark, muffled, quiet, or if you see colors, like I said, whatever is perfectly fine. But I want you to imagine that you start to see a point of light, an origin point of light, starting to shine in this inner silence, in this inner space. And it might be as small as a little pinprick. It might look like a star. But however small this point of light starts out as, it starts to enlarge. It starts to get larger, stronger, brighter. There might be like rays of light coming off of it. But still, from this point, this pinpoint, this origin point of light, you're seeing that light get more intense, brighter, stronger. And in this silent space of this inner space that might have been quiet and dark and still, you start to feel that light just completely encompass you, completely bring you into it. You are completely absorbed in that light. And that inner space now is radiant and bright, intensely bright. You might see golden light, white light, iridescent light, whatever it is perfect. But let that light, that source point, wash over you, through you, clearing away any energies or ideas or thoughts or feelings that do not align with who you are intending to be at this very moment. Let that beautiful, pure light sear away, burn away, clear away, wash away any energies, anything that's stuck or stagnant or trapped that you're holding on to willingly or unconsciously, however it may be there. Let that source point of light just wash through you and wash over you and clear. And take a few deep breaths in and out, really to help that energy wash through you. Let that light wash through you and wash over you. And as any energies that do not serve your highest good, that do not serve your intention at this moment, as those energies disappear, you can trust that that energy is just being transmuted. It is being returned to source. There's no destruction going on here. It's just clearing. And you are opening up, you are making space for your highest potential, for the energy that you actually want to embody, that you want to be there. And so if you notice if there's energies that have left, little pockets of energy that have left that are maybe vacant, now take a couple of deep breaths, breathing in and out and feeling that source energy start to fill those little puzzle pieces, to fill those holes, filling yourself with complete radiance. And breathing out into where you are so full inside and out, completely topped off with this source point energy. Maybe every time you breathe in and out, you might feel a little bit of buoyancy. You kind of rise up and down, up and down. I'm just going to bask in that light, bask in that energy for a moment. And the thing is that this energy is not foreign. It is not separate from you. It is you. You are allowing and you are inviting in and breathing in source energy, which you are. You have reconnected and you are remembering that you are source. You are a unique part of source in your humanness, in your human self. But ultimately you are source. And so there might be a feeling of returning and remembering in this moment. And so as you observe and as you sit in this perfect, bright, brilliant, beautiful source point energy, this beautiful light, if you intend so, I would love for you to pull up some imagery, whether it is a landscape or freeze frame from your own perfect movie, whatever it is, however you see this. But I want you to conjure up and pull up an intention, an experience, a picture. And this can be something that you're wanting to bring into your awareness, bring into your life experience, aka manifestation. It could be a healthier, happier, balanced version of yourself or of your life. You could even bring a person or a situation into this light for a moment that you'd like to send a little bit of love or healing to. You could pull the earth, pull the planet right there into that spot and just kind of let us sit there for a moment. But if you're kind of like grasping at straws, what do I think of? Just the first thing that comes to mind is perfect. Don't stress it. So bring this thing, this picture, this image, person, whatever it is, bring it into the center of the source point of this beautiful, brilliant light that you are also part of, that you are hovering in this moment. And just hold this thing in this light with love and with compassion and with trust. Take a few breaths. Allow that source point energy to transmute any energy that needs to be released at this time. Let that image, let that thing become just picture perfect. The colors are clear and bright. Very, very clear. Very, very real. Now take that thing, that image, and you can either use the exhale to flow and just kind of let it drift off. Or you can take that image, you can also bring it in with the inhale, bring it into your heart, wherever it needs to go. You can send it off, or you can bring it in. And take a few breaths, breathing in and out, just letting the energy settle to where it's just you again in this beautiful, brilliant light. If you're comfortable doing so, you can put your hands in kind of like the prayer position right in front of your heart. Just let yourself feel gratitude or balance or love or peace. Now, keeping yourself still aware of your connection to Source, let that light start to maybe move outward a bit, though, to where you are trading your perspective from Source point. Now you're bringing your perspective back into your energy body. Everything should feel much more balanced, clear, light, harmonious. Now bring your awareness back into your physical body. Again, breathing in and out with your entire body. Feeling more relaxed. Feeling some aches and pains have melted away. Feeling calm. Now move your awareness back into your belly, back into your lungs. So you take another breath. Feeling the air flow in and out. Now go ahead when you're ready, start to kind of move your hands and your feet. Starting to feel your physical body, feeling very much in the physical, your awareness here in the present moment. I'm going to stretch. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And so it is.